Hey y'all, it's CherokeeStarfish, and welcome to a new series bringing you Disciples Sacred Lands. Now, if you have never heard of this, it is a cult classic. It's still one of my favorite turn-based strategy games, and I think that it's one of the best strategy-first titles. They were a pretty great studio. They turned out quite a few good games. And I highly recommend all of the Disciples titles if you can find them. You can get them on GOG, you can get them on Steam. I recommend the GOG version, of course. They're definitely worth it. Let's tuck in.
Chaos. Chaos was inevitable. Signs aligned themselves as an ill omen. Havoc is upon the lands, and history will be written with the blood of the vanquished.
Oh, he's just talking about 2020.
As the stars bejewel the darkening sky, evil, lurking in obscurity, is twisting and corrupting souls. The gods themselves watch silently as the disciples prepare their minions for the tasks ahead. Chaos has begun anew. 4 realms will wage war, sealing the fate of their race and ensuring the existence of their gods. Bethrazan, Prince of Darkness, Monarch of the Legions of the Damned. Wotan, Guardian of the Sacred Forge, and God of the Mountain Clans. Mortis, Creator of Plague and Pestilence, Master of the Undead Hordes. The High Father, God of Light, Grand Protector of the Empire.
Oh, the titular disciple, perhaps. Oh, they're angry. Look at these glorious 90s graphics.
Cowards should not venture out in the dark ages to come, as many will die and blood will flow relentlessly upon the battlefields. For it is the victor in battle who writes history.
There were so many opportunities to say sacred lands. He did say disciples. Still, I consider it, like a missed chance. Okay, so welcome to the land of Nevendaar, the sacred land of Nevendaar, if you will, and to the first title in the Disciples franchise, or, if you're Greek, Disciples. So, like many turn-based strategies, of course, then and now, you've got your campaign modes, which here are called sagas, and your standalone scenarios, which are called quests. So we are going to focus on a single-player saga, and I threw up a poll on Twitter. So y'all had the option of choosing the Empire, who serve the High Father, the God of Light. They are a human civilization. They have a focus on healing, and they have a pretty good spread of units. Like they're fairly okay at everything. They specialize in air magic, stuff like that, defense. They're pretty solid. I like them. And of course the Empire is not all good. Much like some, real-world governments, they are rife with corruption. There is rot near the heart, just below the skin. Interesting story. And then, of course, tale as old as time, the High Father cast down one of his angels, Bethrazen, and imprisoned him in the burning hells. And so the legions of the damned are the demons that Bethrazen has bled out, that he's created with what little divine energy he has left, to steal souls and gain power for him so that he can break free and confront the High Father. Then you've got the Mountain Clans, which are a coalition of giants, halflings, and dwarves, and a few other creatures that live in the highlands. And of course they serve Wotan, the guardian of the sacred forge, as the narrator told us. Lots of buffs, utility magic. They don't have a lot of mages, but what they do have are pretty powerful because they're high level. They don't get like attacks that hit everybody until their troops go through a few evolutions, which is something that we'll get to in a bit. They are very tough, and of course you can see some real-world influences here, where Wotan is obviously, that is a possible name or a translation for Wodan, Odin, as we know him in contemporary language and pop culture. You can even see like the missing eye, and of course like the Nordic influences here, so very obviously a stand-in for Odin, just like the High Father is a stand-in for the Christian god. And here is the civ that y'all voted for. Overwhelmingly, you picked the Undead Hordes, and here is their goddess, Mortis. Now, the Undead Hordes have a pretty interesting story. Mortis didn't used to be like this, actually. Mortis was a beautiful goddess, and she was married to, or romantically involved with, Galleon, the god of the elves, which in later Disciples games are actually a playable faction, but in this first one are a neutral faction. And the game's going to get more into the story, but suffice to say, Galleon and Wotan got into an argument, and Wotan flung Galleon into the sun. And even though Galleon was a god, I guess face planting in the sun was a bit much for him because he died. And the reason Mortis is the goddess of undeath and rebirth, or life beyond death, is because she tried to reach into the flames and to like collect his body before it could crumble to ash. So she managed to get his corpse back, burned and scarred as it was, and you can see what happened to her. She became burned and scarred as well. And she has been searching ever since then for a way to bring Galleon back. And her rage knows no bounds. She uses her powers now to cause the dead to rise, and her hordes march against the Mountain Clan, seeking to destroy everything Wotan holds dear, because he is a douchebag. And she is very angry, and I guess rightfully so. So let's get started. So, once you've chosen a civ in Disciples, you have another important choice, which is not just your avatar, although that's very important as well. And y'all tell me which one of these you favor here, if you like this stylish young lady, or like this dude who is very obviously just Dracula. And then there's this monstrosity. Whatever he is, it is, they are. And then this fine personage who looks to be stitched together from several other fine personages. You also have to choose what Lord type you are going to play as, and this is very important because, of course, if you're just playing a one-off scenario, it's only going to affect you for that game, but if you are playing a saga, then the entire campaign you will be stuck with this decision, and you can choose to be either a warrior lord, and you can see the special ability listed below. All of your units as a warrior lord will regenerate 15% of their damage every day. Now, troops already regenerate a small amount of health each turn anyway. The Warrior Lord just drastically increases it. I think the base is like 5%, and so they're tripling it as a Warrior Lord. I may be mistaken, it may be a little more, a little bit less than 5%, but 15% is definitely an increase either way. But you'll see here too, Warrior Lords can only research up to 4th level spells. They cannot obtain the most powerful spells, the 5th level spells that their Civ has to offer. The only ones who can do that are Mage Lords. Mage Lords can research all spells, and, even more importantly perhaps, it costs only half the mana to research those spells, and you can cast them twice per day each, if you can afford to. Warrior Lords and Guild Masters, the 3rd Lord type, they can only research 4th level spells. They pay full price, which is very expensive. It's usually twice the casting cost or more of the spell just to learn it. And you can only cast that spell 1 time per turn, and then it's grayed out and you don't have access to it anymore. Now, the Guildmaster's special ability is that Thief units, which are a special leader unit you can purchase, can perform additional actions, and when you increase a city size of a non-capital city, it costs 50% less money. That will be an important strategic ability later on as well on many maps. So, I have played multiple times with each of these different types, but I am going to go ahead and choose a Mage Lord for this campaign, because I want y'all to be able to see everything that the game has to offer, and so that means that if I want to show off the 5th level spells later in the saga, we'll have to be a Mage Lord in order to have access to those. I'm going to set the difficulty up at least 1 tick as well. It does go all the way up to very hard. And I love this representation of what you're going to be dealing with. But it's been a while since I played the original Disciples, so I'm going to set it to average rather than hard or very hard. Alright, so do we like this avatar? Do you want 1, 2, 3, or 4? I will let y'all pick whichever one that you like, because of course this isn't a face that we are going to see off and on throughout the campaign, but it is not a face that we're going to have to spend an enormous amount of time staring at, so it's a fairly minor decision, but please yourselves. There's some pretty wild ones, and this also gives you a nice taste of the art style, which is something that I dearly love about Disciples. The whole franchise really does have quite a beautiful art style, and to me, it's actually reminiscent of old Rankin Bass animations, like if you've ever seen the Rankin Bass version of The Hobbit, or Return of the King, or old cartoons such as Thundercats, the original Thundercats. It's not exactly the same, but I feel like you can see some of that influence in here. Less the Thundercats, I suppose, and more like the Lord of the Rings. 2 or 4? 2 is pretty wild. But you already said that you liked 4, so we'll go with 4. Alright. A strong and powerful lady to serve our goddess. Let's begin our quest.
The Alkmaar inhabited the arid regions south of the realm, and their civilization prospered for many centuries. Highly spiritual, they preserved the remains of their dead ancestors, consulting them for important decisions, even eating in their company. Then Mortis intervened, slaughtering the entire civilization with her venomous breath, killing thousands in days with a virulent plague, striking mercilessly upon youth and elder alike. Although dead, the carcasses did not rest, eluding their dark fate. the undead hordes wandered about the land of the living, eager to execute the evil bidding of their infamous goddess. Mortis finally possessed the means to avenge her husband, slaughtered by the hands of Wotan, god of the mountain clans. Her first command was to liberate the only passage through the mountains to free the hordes. To achieve this, the Keeper of the Passage had to be destroyed.
So there we go. So Mortis is, like she's not completely in the wrong, at least at the beginning of things, when she sets off to get her revenge on Wotan. She's justified in being very upset. But, of course, we're all aware that you have to handle your own shit. And your trauma is never an excuse to hurt someone else who wasn't involved in it, an innocent bystander. So the fact that she decided to send a plague down on an entire civilization just to turn it into her army, a brilliant and inspired idea, perhaps, tactically, from her position, but still, cool motive, still murder. Okay, so here we are, the first turn. Every turn, this window is going to pop up, and it's going to show us what we have earned. These are all of our resources. Gold, of course, which we will use to purchase troops, upgrade cities, buy buildings in our capital, and buy items and maybe even mercenaries, who knows. And then these are our 4 types of mana. Each of the different civilizations has their own special type. This is Death Mana, the black crystals, of course, which are the special mana or magical energy source of the Undead Hordes. Then you have Runestone Mana for the Mountain Clans. You have Life Mana for the Empire. And you have Infernal Mana for the Legions of the Damned. Now, at the beginning, you'll see here, we have no spells, right? Spells can be researched in the capital. Here is our capital. Check it out. And like many turn-based strategy games, we have a wonderful capital screen. Ta-da! So here is the inside of our castle. It's a little bit barren at the moment, although you can see the guard on duty down here. He's doing a good job. Now, we don't start with a whole lot, including spells. So up here we've got our map, right? I'll get to this in just a moment. You can also click this to switch over, and it shows a display of what's in your treasury. So we have 600 gold and 25 death mana. We have none of the other kinds. Now, it's important to eventually control all 4 types, and here's why. So here are our first level spells. This is the first scenario in the saga, so we're only going to be able to research up to a certain point. We have access to first and second level spells here, and then see third, fourth, and fifth we can't research. But notice that these spells, see over here, each one will tell you, the level, the source, the effect, and then the research cost and the casting cost. So, for example, Summon Skeleton, of course, is going to summon a skeleton for 1 turn. It costs 100 death mana to research. Now keep in mind, because we're a mage lord, we're getting half research cost. A warrior lord or a guild master would have to pay 200 death mana to learn this spell, and then 100 death mana to cast it. First and second level spells always cost your race's type only. And generally, it's 100 to cast a first level spell, 200 to cast a second level spell, and then starting with third level spells, what will happen is it will cost 2 types of mana to learn and cast that spell. Fourth level spells cost 3 types, and 5th level spells all take all 4 kinds of mana. So if you want access to the most powerful magic, you have to have all 4 kinds. Now, the Undead Hordes specialize in debuffs and status effects, but that's not all they do. Of course, they've got a lot of summons. And then you'll see here, source. This is very important because it tells you where the attack is coming from. Every attack in the game has a source. If something deals damage, it's got one of these. Most of the Undead Hordes attacks that are not weapon-based, their source is death. But, of course, because there are spells like Death Ward, which protect you from death damage, they have to have a little bit of diversity, so they've also got some spells that are like water-based, and earth-based, and so on. Weakness, enchanted units are going to have 10% less chance to hit, which is really good. Rust reduces by 50% the armor of target units, also a good debuff. And then we have an evil ent, Plague, which is the upgrade of Pestilence over here. Shadow replenishes a small area of the Fog of War, which protects parties from enemy spells. Very useful, because the Fog of War here is persistent. Once you have uncovered an area, you can always see that part of the map, and you can cast spells into it. But if you've not explored an area, you cannot cast spells on that part of the map. So by using Shadow judiciously here, we will be able to prevent enemies from hitting us with their versions of spells like Plague or Curse of Nightgrail or Ice Storm or what have you. This one is going to reduce damage by 15%, and then here we go, Stone Rain inflicts 30 points of earth damage, and you can see the source is earth. Now we can't afford to research anything this turn, so I'm going to move right along. Now you may ask, how do we get mana? Well, so you'll see this gold mine right over here, right? Okay, I don't see any other resources at the moment. We can track this on the map as well, but check this out. See how these trees are like twisted and barren, and there's this dry, cracked, kind of dead ground around the capital? That is the Undead Horde's special terrain type. We'll call it Wasteland. This is neutral ground. It's just empty dirt with regular green trees, right? So, back to these numbers up here. Here's the Undead Hordes. Here's the Mountain Clans, which are going to be our opponents for this scenario. Every turn, our capital is going to expand the terrain that we control around it. So this wasteland is going to grow gradually larger over time. Every turn it's going to reach out a little bit further. The way that you control resources, such as gold mines and mana crystals, is by having your terrain type underneath them. Even if you haven't explored a part of the map yet, as long as your terrain type is underneath a resource generator, it belongs to you. Now, there are two ways to spread your terrain. One is that it oozes out from any city that you control, starting with your capital, but also any other city as well. So if you capture a neutral city, it will also cause your terrain to expand out from that. And then you have a special hero type that can expand it as well. So, yeah, it's basically creep. That's actually a pretty good comparison. So if you have played StarCraft, you know. So here is our troop screen, our army screen for our capital. Now, this is the hero we start with. This is a Lich Queen. Her name is Archon Darksoul. I love it. Now, we don't have to use her. She's just the freebie that we get because there are three main types of heroes. You have mage heroes, right? And you can see here that our mage hero for the Undead Hordes is the Lich Queen. The mightiest female necromancers transform themselves into Lich Queens, and as such they can use staves and scrolls. So that's her special leader ability. A scroll is a single-use consumable version of a spell, and it does not have a mana cost. So if you pick up a scroll or buy one in a shop, then you will be able to use it to cast whatever spell is on it one time and destroy the scroll. And you can do that even if you don't have the mana to cast that spell normally. So if you wanted to cast, for example, the Empire's healing spell, which normally costs 200 life mana because it's a second level spell, you could use a scroll of heal to get the same effect. even if you don't have any life mana at all. A staff is the same thing, except it does have a casting cost, but it's reusable. And if you are a warrior lord or a guild master, you can only activate a staff one time per turn. But if you are a mage lord, you can activate a staff using a hero twice per turn, which means that potentially, depending on which staff you have, you might be able to cast the same spell 4 times, as long as you can afford it. There are some very useful staves out there, and we will have to keep an eye out for them, because those are items we might want to keep hold of once we've got them. Now, every unit is going to have experience points because they level up, which is great. One of the things that I love most about Disciples is that it's a squad-based TBS. Rather than huge armies, you have basically parties, almost like adventuring parties, where you can have up to 6 units that travel around and get more powerful and develop new abilities over time. And they're going to level up. Leaders, of course, are going to have names. Others are going to be generic. A leader is defined by having a leadership score. That's how many slots they can fill. Your typical heroes, your mage, warrior, and guildmaster heroes, or thief heroes, whatever you want to call them, they all start with a leadership of 3. So that means that, like, I can put her in the back row here, and then I could put this other spellcaster with her. And then this guy, you'll see he's a large unit, so he takes up 2 slots. Now, this, of course, is both good and bad. That means that if I put him over here, see, her leadership score is now full. So, therefore, she can't take a 3rd unit, because leadership represents slots in the party, not number of units. Now, on the one hand, it's cheaper to buy 1 unit and take him around, of course, and units that take up 2 spaces usually start with a lot more hit points, and they might be a little bit stronger or have more special abilities. They will also level up faster because experience points are divided evenly between all units in your party that are not at their max XP for that map. If they can still earn experience points, they will get a share. So these 3 would level up quicker than if there were 4 units in the party total, because it's only going to be split 3 ways. The downside is you're depriving yourself of another unit. You could have 4. So it's a strategic call. Do you want to have 4 units? Do you want to have 3 units and have them level up faster? Well, it depends on what your large units are. So we'll make that decision in a moment. Now, of course, here's her hit points. She doesn't have any armor right now. Armor reduces the damage you take by a percentage. So if you have 10 armor, you would take 10% less damage. Here are her immunities. A lot of the Undead Hordes benefit from this. You'll see over here the Wyvern does not have this yet, but when it upgrades, it gains immunity to death. Likewise, this Initiate doesn't have anything, but later on he can gain it as well. Many of their units are immune to death, so that means that they can't be damaged by their own spells and attacks. It's hard to use the Undead Horde's magic against them. Ward is like immunity, except it's, think of it as like a consumable version. If you are immune to death, then any death-based attack cannot ever affect you, period. If you have a ward against fire, then what that means is that you will be immune to the first fire-based attack in a combat, or if you were in the overworld, the first fire-based spell that tries to damage your party each turn. The second one, however, you'll treat it normally, so you only get 1. Now, the Lich Queen, of course, is great because you would think that all of these necromancers, would deal death-based attacks, but no, she actually does fire damage, because you have to, right? If you're fighting against the Undead Hordes, people are going to gear up to protect themselves from death-based attacks. So the Lich Queen throws a wrench into the works by having a fire-based attack. She's got 75% chance to hit, which is pretty standard. She's going to deal 30 damage, which is also pretty standard for a mage hero. You can see the source is fire. Most mage-type units have an initiative of 40, so they're fairly slow. They'll go after warriors, and it's usually archers first, then frontline fighters and warriors, then mages, then large, powerful units, like the Wyvern, for example. You'll see his initiative's 35, so like he goes right after her. And then healers almost always go last, because they'll have an initiative of about 20, sometimes even 10. Now, mages are really powerful because, see this? Reach any unit targets 6. So whenever she casts Firestorm, she's going to deal 30 fire damage to everyone in the enemy party. She will hit them all. Now, accuracy is rolled separately for each of them, which is both a blessing and a curse, because sometimes you really need her to hit everybody, and she'll miss a bunch of people and only hit like one guy. But, on the other hand, I mean, if you only rolled once for the whole party and you missed, you wouldn't hit anybody at all. So, you know, there you go. Now, this is a special unit here, Ashgan. Every race, or civ, has a capital guardian. Ashgan, you'll see, Bringer of Plagues, was an Alkmaar High Priest. You'll remember the Alkmaar are the civilization that Mortis slaughtered to create the initial Undead Hordes. He was ordered by Mortis to never leave the capital unprotected. All of them have pretty much the same stats. You see, he can't earn experience points or level up, right? But he has 900 hit points, 50 armor, which means he takes half damage from all attacks. His attack name, Wind of Death, has a 95% chance to hit everyone for 250 damage. He goes on initiative 90, which means that he goes before anybody except for maybe a handful of archers. And the source of the attack is life rather than death. Life is one of the least common sources, and there is no way to ward or protect against it. Think of it as your non-elemental damage, like Ultima in Final Fantasy VII, right? So that means that there's no way to protect against this except for armor and buffing spells. That's it. It's the only way to cut this damage down. So most of the time, anyone who attacks your capital, they're gonna die in one shot. Maybe two, because of course you can see this guy, 225. So when he gets an upgrade, he's gonna have more than 250 hit points, right? Everybody has a different version of that, but otherwise they're fairly identical. So, yeah, you're not supposed to attack somebody else's capital. That's not generally how you win. Most of the time in a game, you're going to either want to kill a specific party, take a specific town, loot a particular ruin, control a certain percentage of the terrain is a very popular one, or like, you know, achieve a certain amount of resources or something. So it's usually not destroy the other person's capital. You can do that, and that does take them out of the game. If the capital falls, if you manage to do this, and it is doable, then that civ is out of the game because you destroy their capital. They can't buy troops or anything anymore. So yeah. Alright, so here we go. I love the voice lines in here. She's gonna have a lot of great a lot of great things to say. Now, I wanted to step her out of the castle so that I can show you this. So, here we go. These are our leader types, right? If you are a warrior lord, you get a fighter leader for free. If you are a guild master, your first hero is a scouting leader. And as a mage lord, of course, we got a mage leader for free. Then you have a fourth type of hero, which you never start with, but you can buy, and you can see they're a little bit cheaper, because they only come with Leadership 1. They are a rod planter. That is the other way that you can cause your terrain to expand. Not only does it kind of exude from your cities that you control, but if you spend 150 gold to stick a rod in the ground, then your terrain will slowly ooze outward from that rod as well. So these are terraformer heroes. They fly around and they will claim gold mines and monocrystals and things for you and expand your mastery of the map. Now, of course, they're fragile because they only have leadership 1, and what you're really meant to do is put a fighter in front of them in order to protect them, so that if they get attacked, they have a chance to run away before they die while their fighter, like their bodyguard or whatever, eats it. However, it is possible to make them your main hero. It just takes a lot more effort because they have to level up and they have to gain leadership slots in order to actually have a party, so that they can stand against most like standard parties of other civs. Whereas these leaders don't have that problem because they come with a leadership of 3 to start. Have I done it? Absolutely. And it doesn't work as well with some people. So the Banshee, it works pretty well because her ability is that she paralyzes a single unit, and that can be really powerful. So, do I recommend trying it? Sure. But I will... We'll probably leave that for like another time. And you can experiment on your own if you pick up the game with the other civs and see what all of their different leaders look like and what they do as well. And then this is grayed out right now because we have not yet built our guild. But you can buy a thief as well, and you'll see they have leadership 0 and can never gain leadership. But you'll see the thief is an expendable unit that does not gain levels. They are enrolled to execute various tasks, and if captured, execution will be prompt. So what thieves are for is they're cheap, and they run out and do things like poison parties, challenge enemies into duels, like provoke the enemy leader. They can plant spies in another civ's army so that you can right-click on them and see what's in their party, whereas normally you can't. Things like that. And if you're playing a guildmaster, then your thief can do other things as well, such as they can confuse enemy parties to randomly rearrange their unit configuration, or they can bribe towns to switch sides. Stuff like that. Now, everybody begins with one building already built as well. In one of your other buildings category, you'll see that there's 3. The magic tower is required in order to research spells. If this is not purchased, you cannot learn magic. You'll see that this is blue because as a mage lord, we get it for free because that's what we do. The temple is what allows you to heal and revive dead units in the capital and any other city you control. So you can't heal except over time unless you have the temple built. If the temple is constructed, then in any city you control, you can dodge in there and you can pay cash to heal a unit up to full health or to revive a dead one. If you're a warrior lord, you start with this for free and have to buy the magic tower instead. And of course, the guildmaster starts with the guild, which has to be built in order to recruit thieves. Yeah, it is pretty important. This is usually one of the first buildings that you want to buy. Now, you have a little bit of leeway because if your party is garrisoned in a city, they will recover their health faster. And since you start with the capital, of course, you recover faster in the capital than anywhere else. You'll get back 50% of your health each turn. So that means that you're guaranteed to heal all the way to full with 2 turns of resting, no matter how damaged you are. So at the beginning, you don't have to buy the temple, but it is still useful. Now you'll see these buildings down here are all blank because we're only going to be allowed to get up to our first upgrade for each of our different units in this initial scenario. But this is how the game works. This is one of the key components. Remember I said it's kind of like a squad-based, almost, it's got RPG elements, right? So instead of having like huge armies like you would in Heroes of Might and Magic, for example, where you might get a stack of 1,000 skeletons or 500 pikemen and 20 dragons, you're going to have 1 dragon or 1 zombie, and he's going to get much more powerful over time as he levels up and gains special abilities. So you have a base unit type for each of these categories. You have a frontline fighter, you have a mage unit, you have an archer unit, and then you have a special or support unit. which varies based on your civ. So for the Undead Hordes, we have the Warrior. This is the basic fighting unit of the Undead. They are useless in the back row, thanks for that. They have 120 hit points, deal 25 damage a pop, and go on initiative 50, and you'll see Source's weapon, and they can only hit adjacent units, one person who's next to them. So that means that this guy, you know, if he was a fighter and I put him in the center, he could hit anyone in the front row of the other party. If I put him here, then he can only hit the guy in front of him, and the guy in the center, he can't hit the guy on the other side. Yeah, probably. I tend to in this game. I do. I fall in love with my little, you know, my little angels and necromancers and dwarf guys, and it's like, no, oh no, he's dead, hurry, run back to town and heal. But yeah, so that's a strategic point, is you could place these, like if you have two warriors, for example, one here and one here is what I often do, then that means that both of them can hit a guy in the corners, and then each of them can team up on the dude in the center. And then each of them can only be hit by 2 units in the front row of the other party as well. They can't be hit by all 3, whereas if you have one warrior in the middle, the whole front row is going to beat up on him, and that can be rough. Our archer unit for the Undead Hordes is the Ghost, and they don't actually deal damage. Instead, these evil spirits are known to paralyze their victims in battle. Beware, they cannot suffer great damage. Yeah, they only have 45 hit points, and they don't have a great chance to hit at 65% rather than 75%, because they're inflicting a status effect. Paralysis almost always has the mind source, and you'll see they go on initiative 20. So they go right before healers, which usually go on initiative 10. But they can paralyze a single unit, which means that that unit loses its turn, because when it comes up in the initiative, it has to spend its action to shake off the paralysis. So you can just take someone completely out of the fight. You won't kill them, but you'll prevent them from doing anything else, and that can be very powerful. Our mage unit, of course, starts as the Initiate. These are going to be our Necromancer guys. Initiates can cast Pestilence on all their enemies when protected by a row of undead warriors. Again, fairly weak because they're a mage, but they're going to hit everybody for 15 death damage. And then the Wyvern. This is our support unit. He's a large boy. He is a chunky dragon boy. Juvenile drakes can attack every enemy in the opposing party with one gasp of their poisonous breath. Again, they don't have as much chance to hit because they are hitting everybody and because they're very tough, right? But they're going to hit everyone for 20 damage on initiative 35. Also pretty solid. So, let's dig in. Let's get started. And we have 600 gold, which is enough to hire any hero we want. Who should we pick? We have a Lich Queen, of course, which we got for free, and we can use her, but we can also choose a Death Knight. Now, the Death Knight's ferocity in battle is unmatched. His high leadership and flying ability are his greatest assets, and let me tell you, boy, oh boy, being able to fly is a huge deal in this game because you don't get a lot of movement. People are not fast, and if you have to cross water, or if you have to go through trees, God help you. Now, this guy, he's got 150 hit points, and he hits for 50 damage to a single target. So he's like a pretty tough frontline fighter, but he carries the whole party with him and takes no terrain penalties, which is really great. And then there's the Nosferat. Now, the Nosferat does not fly, but they are the most malevolent of the vampires. They drain the life force of their enemies in battle. So they have very high movement to make up for the fact that they don't have a special movement type. They have 90 hit points. They only hit for 10 damage, but they go very early in the initiative. And they hit everyone and heal, which is also really cool. So yeah, they don't heal the whole party, they only heal themselves. But it makes it very difficult for them to die, because imagine if you hit all 6 targets, you're going to hit 60 damage, right? And then they heal, I think, half of what they drain, so like they would heal for 30 because they dealt 60. So as they level up and deal more damage, they will also heal for more because it scales with them. We could go for a Banshee, Because, I mean, you consider what everyone's abilities are, right? And you mix and match to get the effect that you want. For example, a Banshee doesn't really need a ghost with her, at least not right away, because she can already paralyze a single target, which is what they do. And she's better at it. So if you have a Banshee, you don't have to waste time purchasing and upgrading ghosts if you don't want to. Likewise, if you have a Lich Queen, you probably don't need an Initiate in your party because she's already going to be doing a bunch of damage. Now, on the other hand, she's dealing fire damage and they're dealing death, so, you know, you could change your mind. Same for the Nosferat, right? You don't necessarily need a mage in the party because he is hitting everybody. This guy is going to save you a fighter. If you have the Death Knight, he's going to go in the front row, and so you don't need as many warriors in front, and you can stack the back ranks with things like mages and ghosts. Now, the reason that this is an important decision is because one of my favorite features of Disciples Sacred Lands, and of the Disciples franchise in general, is that as we progress through our saga, we're going to get to import one hero into each scenario. We get to take one person with us. So our favorite or highest level champion is coming with us through the whole thing. They're going to go all the way to the end, and they're going to be our main guy the whole time. So who do we want that to be? That's the question that I have for you. Who do we want to be our final champion all the way at the end of the game? Who is carrying our great dark armies to victory? Will it be a Death Knight, a Nosferat, or a Lich Queen? And like I said, we could use a Banshee, but it takes so much effort. That is something that is a lot of fun to do in single player, but it's going to make the game a lot more difficult and slow it down because I will really have to grind on them in order to make sure that they level up, that their leadership increases, and there's going to be a lot of like taking it slow, weakening enemies before we attack them, and then running away to heal and that kind of thing. And since this is a turn-based strategy, it's not going to go super fast anyway. Which means I don't want to slow it down even further by using a Rod Planter as our main hero. Yeah, see, it is difficult. All three of them are good, and they all have something to recommend them. You know, like lots of fire damage, great. Hitting everyone at once and, you know, really fast and also healing yourself, also really great. And then just the fact that this guy can fly, I mean, honestly, that by itself is pretty awesome. So choose whoever you would like, and when we buy a new hero, if we buy a new hero, we will get to name them as well, so we can call them whatever you want. And then that's going to determine what we buy with the rest of our money as well, because we are going to need to purchase different troops based on what hero we're using. Because like I said, for example, if we have the Death Knight, we don't have to worry as much about fighters. We need to worry about mages and ghosts and things in the back row because we've got a powerful warrior. Now these buildings, they're gonna matter because see here, here's our archer units, right? Ghosts are technically our archers. So what happens is if we buy this sepulcher, then when the ghost gains enough experience points to level up, it doesn't just level up and become a stronger ghost. When it levels up, it changes, and it becomes a specter. See, when a ghost's power grows, his paralyzing attack is more powerful. Chance to hit goes up to 70%, and his hit points double. So they actually become something new, and that can change their abilities or just make them much better at doing what they're already doing. Same over here, we build a cavern, and our wyverns will become Doom Drakes. Doom Drakes gain 75 hit points, and they deal 35 damage instead of 20, which is pretty great. Our initiates, if we build a Dark Temple, will become warlocks. Continuing their insane studies, warlocks can control more effectively the power of death in battle, so their hit points again increase and they deal 30 damage now. But this is the best part. You'll see how some of these trees split and they have different roots, right? different paths that you can take. Not all of them. Some of them just are what they are. But a lot of them, you have options. So, for example, our fighters, right, or our warriors, depending on which of these two buildings we build, they will become something different with different abilities. If we build the Unholy Ground, then a warrior who levels up to 2nd level will become a zombie. He gains immunity to death, a bunch of hit points, 50 hit points, and his damage increases to 50. Right? After the completion of this unholy ritual, the Chosen Ones are transformed into ruthless undead warriors with no fear. On the other hand, if we build the Evil Monastery, they become Templars. A rite of cleansing renders the Chosen immune to the elements. Afterwards, they are known as Templars. They still deal 50 damage. They don't get quite as many hit points, right? The zombie has 25 more hit points, but the trade-off is the Templar has fire, water, air, and earth ward. So that means that the first attack or spell of any of the 4 main elements will just fail to affect a Templar. So the zombie is tougher and is immune to death. The Templar, not immune to death and a little weaker, but is protected once from all other elemental types. And that's really cool, and you can see that they have other subsequent upgrades as well that will unlock in future scenarios as the saga continues. So, we will choose different paths of evolution and upgrade for all of our units as we move forward based on the needs that we have at the time and based on, you know, who we're fighting, who the champions in the other army are, and so forth. Speaking of which, let's come back to this. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's pick a hero. Are we going to stick with the Lich Queen we already have, that we got for free, or do you want a Death Knight or a Nosferat? It's your call. Hey, they do become bigger and better zombies. That is exactly what happens. You've got the one path that's the Templars, you know, they get even more elemental protection, and then the zombie just gets zombier. They get more powerful and, like, more dead. A Lich Queen is going to need a couple of good zombies in front of her, and so will a Nosferat. A Death Knight will want one beside him, but he's not going to need 2, at least not right away. So what do you think? Which of the 3 shall we take with us? Which of these shall be Mortis's champion? Her disciple, perhaps? Nosferat? Yep, that is true. And I like them because in addition to the self-heals, yeah, it kind of does result in more treasure because, like, they don't have a special ability that makes them pick up more gold, but they have a special ability that makes them move further, and it's just called having a lot of friggin' move points. So even though the Death Knight only has 20 move points, he might sometimes move further because he's got flying, but the Nosferat can go. Alright. Yeah, hello, welcome. You're just in time to vote. Okay. Well, it seems like the crowd is in favor of the Nosferat. So, going once, going twice. If you have a different opinion, feel free to speak up, but otherwise, we're going to choose a Nosferat, and that will cost us 500 gold. 500 of our precious, precious gold, but it'll be worth it. Alright, Nosferat it is. Sold. Now, what shall we call this guy? You can see he's got an Alkmaar name to start out with, and they all have those kinds of names. What's a good name for a Nosferat? I mean, he's a vampire. What's a good vampire name? I mean, that's definitely a description. Let's see. No. Those Feratu. Nosferat. Yes, Ferrat. Well, we already used Clow. Interacting. Oh my god. Well, yeah, because he's got those blank white eyes. I like Asphodel. Although it almost sounds more like a legion's name. Drafe. I mean, technically we use Draven too, but I kind of like, oh, wait a minute. What about the names that we didn't use for Vincent? What about the names that we didn't use for Vincent? Call me by my goth name. Oh, I've tickled myself. Goodness gracious. Count Chocula's pretty good. Now I've got Bohemian Rhapsody in my head, but the part where they go, I'm just a poor boy, nobody loves me, it's like, I'm just a po boy? I'm seeing Edgar Allan Poe. That's stupid. I don't know why I said that out loud. Count Choco. Okay. I kind of like Count Chocula. Alright, well, I am just pleased as punch with that if y'all are. So, okay, again, going once, going twice, since everybody seems in favor of this one. Alright, Count Choco it is. Okay. Well then. So, here's what we need to do. We don't have a lot of money left. What we're going to do is we're going to start by purchasing a couple of warriors to put in front of Count Choco here. And you can see, like I said, when we separate them this way, they can gang up on the guy in the center. But the guy in the center on the opposite line will be the only one who can hit both of them. So we'll divide up the damage a little bit. Now, Count Choco himself is going to go up here, and then next turn, because he's going to hit everybody, even though he's dealing a little bit less damage than an initiate would, we still have someone who is attacking all targets. So, since he's only got 3 slots, and we're carrying 2 warriors with us, that means that we can either take a wyvern with us, like this, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to save up, and next turn I'm going to buy a ghost to paralyze enemy units while our warriors beat up on them. And I'm also, since he's our main hero, going to give him these potions. Now, these cannot be used in battle. You'll see that he's got 2 hand slots. These are for equipment like banners, artifacts, tomes that you can equip through skills you learn by leveling up. These are for use outside of battle, and what they do is this one restores 100 hit points, the Potion of Restoration, and the Potion of Healing heals 50 hit points. So these are precious consumables, but at the same time, in a pinch, they can be game changers. Okay, so we're out of cash. We're not going to build a building this turn. Yes. We're going to have Archon Dark Soul go over here and do a little bit of scouting, maybe, if we can. And how's the music volume for y'all? Do I need to adjust that a little bit, maybe? I think I'm going to turn that down to... I'm going to try medium. And let's go ahead to... And we will give this a save. So let's get started. Alright, good. Okay, we'll put the music on medium, and I'll leave everything else where you can hear it. So you'll see here these blue flags are going to show the course of her movement. She's got 20 move points. Each one of these does not take 1. It takes at minimum 2 move points. So she can actually only move 10 spaces at best. I don't know why they decided that each movement takes 2 movement points. Like, that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. Now, if you are on road, you do travel faster. Do you need a lozenge? A lozenge, my girl? Yeah, so you'll hear idle chatter if you have a hero selected and you don't do anything for long enough. They'll say things, they'll laugh, they'll make comments, whatever. These blue ones, these are safe, right? And let's see. There we go. You can just see these gray ones. Yeah, decimal move points. That's kind of what it is. I think it's like roads are 1.
Fear will keep them in line.
Fear will keep them in line. Roads are 1, and then like just regular terrain movement is 2. I would have done it the other way around, where like this was 1 and roads were like half a movement point or something. But anyway, you can see gray. That means she doesn't have enough movement to get there. And red means that she will encounter a battle. So she's gonna fight these, what is this, 2 peasants and an archer. We're not going over there. She doesn't really have a lot of places to go because she's by herself. So I'm mostly just gonna kind of keep her out of the way. And we'll see what we've got to deal with here that our Nosferat, Count Choco, is going to be up against. That is a fighter and a peasant. Okay, not bad. And this is going to be 3 peasants. Okay, that's probably our first target then, to be honest.
Fear will keep them in line.
Okay, you've already seen the diplomacy screen. We are at war with Glorin Redhand. Spellcasting, blah, blah, blah. This is the use staff or scroll button. This is the plant rod button, which you can't do. This is where you can drop an item. You can exchange items and troops between parties if you are adjacent. This is guard, which just ends their turn, and it means that then if you hit the next hero button, it won't come back to them.
You will feel my power.
Who dares?
See, there we go. Now it won't go back to Archon over there, to Ms. Dark Soul. Okay, so do you want to end your turn? Yes, I do. You will feel the wrath of the clans. Yeah, well. Oh, he fought a monster somewhere and apparently won, sounded like. There we go. You saw the terrain expand a little bit. We got 100 gold. We got some more death mana. Okay, so first things first. Let's go in here and buy a ghost. That's only going to cost 50. Okay, his leadership is full. Count Choco is ready to move out. Now, the last thing that we're going to do here is we don't have enough gold to build a building, but we need to plan ahead. Now, since this is our main party, obviously the upgrade buildings that we're going to need to build first are going to have to reflect our party makeup here. So, who's going to level up first? Well, leaders usually take more experience points than first level troops, but also they don't require a special structure in order to level up, so Count Choco is fine. Warriors, they need 90 experience points. Ghosts need 75. So that means that we're going to need to build the upgrade building for the ghost first, because if you do not have the upgrade structure built for a unit, when it reaches maximum XP, it will stop 1 point shy, and any additional experience points will be wasted. So that means if we fight something and this ghost gets 100 experience points, it will stop at 74, and we'll get a little marker on his portrait showing that we need to build the building so he can upgrade to a Spectre. So that's our next goal.
You will feel my power.
Okay.
Darkness will fall.
All right. Now, again, we don't have to do anything about this gold mine over here because our terrain is going to... Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that, and welcome. Welcome to the channel. I'm so pleased that you like your the time that you're having enough to stay.
Beast is growing inside me.
Ooh, the beast is growing inside me, he says. Well, so terrain will grow outside of our capital and even underneath these monsters. So we don't actually have to fight these to claim this gold mine, but we will have to fight them to get to this treasure bag on the other side.
The beast is growing inside me.
I think peasant and fighter and 3 peasants. We need to get out of our little valley here. I want to fight this guy because he's got some kind of item right behind him. Yeah, they are. If you leave them on the select, then they'll talk a lot. I'm going to grab... it's something we have in common. I'm going to grab this guy first.
Fresh blood at last.
Because that way our Lich Queen can get out of the valley and can get on her way and can go scout for us. Okay, so here we go. This is the battle screen. I love these little, like, low poly 3D sprites. They're amazing. So here's us on this side. Here's the defenders on the other side. We can surrender, which will kill all of our units. Yeah. For real. Like, doesn't this kind of remind you of, like, Tactics Ogre or Ogre Battle? We can skip this unit, or we can retreat. We can run away, which takes 1 turn. So, like, if you tell someone to retreat, they'll turn around to show that they're fleeing, and then when it comes their turn again, if they're still alive, they will successfully escape. Now, you can see, because it's the Nosferat's turn, Count Choco hits everyone, so this red box has highlighted the entire enemy party. So I'm going to hit all 3 of these peasants, including this guy in the back. There we go. Nice. And then this warrior, he deals 25 damage per hit, right? Oh, yeah, right. I want to play the second one on the channel later, I think, as well. And the second one, the graphics are so insanely better. Oh my gosh, it's so good. The second one's such a good game. But anyway, see, 25 damage. You can hit up to 4 points above or below your listed damage. So he can deal as little as 21 or as much as 29, but he can't ever deal 20 or less, and he can't ever deal 30 or more without buffs of some kind. But his basic attack can deal 21 to 29, which is actually a significant range. So that 25 is kind of like the average. See, he dealt 27. It would have been great if he dealt 28. Let's see if he deals 29. Nope, he dealt 28. Of course, he left 1 point for each of them. Nice, he missed. Okay, and this guy passed. So, now, they only have 30 initiative because peasants are like the worst unit in the game. So, our warriors are going to go first anyway, which means that even though they're in front, I'm actually going to use the ghost to attempt to paralyze this guy in the back anyway. Because although he can't reach us this turn, he might get a turn next time, because if the Nosferat misses even one of these guys in front, you cannot hit anyone in the back row with a melee attack as long as even one person is still alive in the front row. So let's see if he gets both of them. Okay, that guy's paralyzed. Come on, Count Choco. Good, he got them both. Excellent. So now this guy is just sitting duck. Dead meat. There we go. And a piddly +4 experience points divided between everyone, so... Okay.
Yes.
Now, you may notice a little bit of, like, the game is not normally actually this slow. Some of the animations you'll see are not super fast. That is because this is a very old game. I think it came out in 1999, maybe? That sounds right.
Who dares?
And so it's very difficult to get it running on a contemporary machine. Like, not period. Like, if you buy the GOG version, straight out of the box, it runs just fine on Windows 10. The problem is, it only runs full screen, which is a big problem If you have like a multiple monitor setup, or if you, like I, are using streaming software in the background because I need to be able to see the chat and stuff. You would think that having multiple monitors would make that less of a problem, but actually Disciples Sacred Lands has a specific bug where for some reason the game tries to open on the second monitor and it just glitches out and like it'll run in the background, but you can't maximize it or see the game. It was a whole ordeal to get it running, and I'm using like a third-party tool to run it windowed. So that means that you'll see the performance improve as we go forward, because I'm going to tweak the settings and things here and there in order to try and get it running better. You should have heard it last night when I first got it running in a window. The sound and the music was so choppy, and I fixed that like 15 minutes before I went live, so just be glad that I got that far with it. Alright, so I'm going to let them stay in the capital overnight. That will heal this warrior back to full.
Hunger for blood.
And I'm going to go ahead and end our turn. There you go. You can hear the snow expanding for the mountain clans. You can hear him fighting something. And the sound of a monster dying. There we go. 150 gold this time. So, yep, there we go. Our terrain expanded enough that we claimed that gold mine. So now we will earn additional money every turn. And fortunately, because the first thing that happens as soon as it becomes your turn is that everything expands, and then your income is calculated second. If you claim a new mine or monocrystal,
The beast is growing
then you will get
inside me.
the income from it on the first turn that you claim it, which is great. And I think that means now we got one more turn before we can research a spell. But we have 200 gold, which means we have enough to purchase the Sepulchre. And there it is. So now when we get 75 experience points, our ghost will automatically upgrade to a Spectre.
Yes.
Okay, now here is a monocrystal, but we're going to need a Banshee to claim it because your terrain expansion cannot cross water or mountains. You see how it kind of butts up against it and leaves a little, like, thin line of neutral terrain around the foothills of the mountains? So, yeah. That means that in order to get out of this valley, we're going to have a Banshee working for us and planting some rods. So we'll save up for that. We can probably do that next because it's going to be a while before we have enough experience points for our warriors to level up. And even then, it's only going to cost us 200 gold to buy that building, so we've got plenty of time. So over the next couple turns, we'll save up and purchase a Banshee first instead. What's this? A single forest elf. See, and this is where I'm talking about. You can see the Rankin Bass kind of inspiration. The elves especially, they look like the characters from The Hobbit and The Return of the King, from those old animated movies.
Fear will keep them in line.
Forest elf and an elf ranger. And this is a ruin. Elven Lost Temple is unexplored. So this is basically like a little single encounter dungeon. You can go over here and explore this, and there will be an unknown enemy party on the inside, which could be anything. It could be a single goblin. It could be a bunch of angels with a healer or something. Or it could be a high-level dragon. So going into these is a bit of a gamble unless you send in a scout like a disposable thief. But then if you do, you always get some kind of reward. In addition to experience points, you usually get some kind of gold and often an item drop. And those items might be potions or scrolls, but they could also be things like artifacts or banners. Yeah, they are very good archers, so like Count Choco is not ready for that yet. Now here's a neutral town. Oof. Guarded by elves. Ooh, it's gonna be a while before we take that, I think. But that's alright, we're just scouting right now.
Who dares?
Okay, they are back at full health, so I'm gonna grab this guy down here.
Fresh blood at last.
And you can see, like I said, the animations are a little bit slow, especially on the world map. But I'll get that fixed. Oh, he missed both of them. Oh my god. Okay, now this is a perfect example of what I was talking about tactically, right? So this peasant, he can't hit this warrior down here because he's not next to them, right? You can only hit someone who is diagonally next to you or who shares their square shares a face with yours. Now this fighter in the middle, he can hit either of these guys, but in turn, both of them can also gang up and hit him. Because both of them are in this upper corner, that means that almost definitely the AI is going to team up on this guy. So I'm going to hit this peasant first, rather than hitting the fighter. Oh, he actually did split up. Oh, I didn't think he would. But yeah, we want to take the peasant out first so that this guy's not getting 2 hits. Now, because the fighter is a little bit more powerful than the peasant, I'm going to try and paralyze him. Because the peasant is a non-entity. Yeah, see, there he goes. Because notice, he did 14 damage. Even though his damage is listed as 10, just like the warriors, he can deal up to 14 damage, but I think he can also deal, like, as little as 6. Alright. Now, unfortunately, and I think this is ridiculous, a paralyzed unit is not automatically struck. So, like, these guys still only have a 75% chance on average to hit this fella, even when he's paralyzed. It's not an automatic freebie. And that is BS. It really doesn't make any sense, but we live with it. We deal. Okay, so now everybody's up at 11. It won't take as long as you think to get to 2nd level. Ooh, a life potion. Wonderful. A life potion, of course, revives a single dead unit with 1 hit point. Now, I can get over there. That archer could shoot our ghost, or it could shoot Count Choco. Probably it'll shoot the ghost. I'm going to go for it, though, because even though our warriors are wounded, the archer's not going to be shooting at them. He's going to shoot one of our back row guys. Yeah, okay. And he made the dumb choice of shooting Count Choco, which he can heal himself. See, there we go. He should have shot the ghost, my guy. There we go. Because now the ghost is going to paralyze you. Yeah, you absolutely can do that. That's a valid strategy. He has a little bit less health than most melee units, which average out around 100 at 1st level. But if you wanted to put a mage in the back row, you can absolutely use the Nosferat in the front row, at least in the early game, because he's going to hit everybody and heal. There we go. He'll take that peasant out, so now the back row is vulnerable, and we'll finish this archer off. Excellent. Another cool 7 XP. Now, of course, entering into combat sucks your movement points right out, because it takes half of your maximum movement to get into a fight. So for him, that's like 17 movement points to fight a battle. So he can get into multiple fights per turn because he's got a lot of movement to spend. So as you saw, he had a few points left where he was able to move around that corner and get to that other party. A potion of striking. These consumable buffs are critical in this game because sometimes you really have to pile them on to fight hard units, either to take out a fortified city or another higher level party, or to go into a ruin. The potion of striking gives a single unit 20% greater chance to hit for 1 turn. Excellent. He's got more than enough movement to get over there. And let's see, that gives us 150 gold, but more importantly, we have 100 death mana. So let's research our first spell. We can't afford any of these 2nd level spells yet, but we can research any of these because as a mage lord, all of them only cost us 100 death mana. So let's see. I usually save rust until a little bit later because early game units tend not to have armor. That's a special feature of some of the higher level troops. And then of course, you know, you can have artifacts or skills that will give armor to leaders, as well as spells and other buffs. Let's see. Weakness is pretty good because it reduces accuracy. Summon Skeleton is also very useful because you can use it for scouting, and summons are great for softening up an enemy party before you hit them with your actual army. I think I'm going to go with weakness first, though. There we go, so now we know weakness. Of course, we can't cast it because we're out of mana, but there it is in our spellbook.
You will feel my power.
Alright, more elves. Let's see what's in here. A gold ring. Now, treasure items that don't do anything else will always be listed like this. In parentheses, it will just say valuable. So see, this jewel is worth 200 gold coins to a merchant, and that's literally all it does. So it's free money if we can find someone to sell it to. Ooh, another dungeon. Elven Sanctuary. A lot of elves around here. Oh, and I think I see the ass end of a polar bear as well, which is terrifying because polar bears are quite powerful. Alright, yes. Your spells are very important. They are critical to your performance in this game, because you have to use them to soften up enemies and things before you hit them in a lot of cases. Okay, Count Choco here is ready to go. So we have nothing else to do up here in this little valley, but we have this guy standing all by himself, and we're going to need to take him out anyway in order to make room for our Banshee to get over here. Yeah, absolutely. Basically, you can blow 100 death mana to send a skeleton into something like that Elven Sanctuary or what have you, and find out what's in there. And you might even get, depending on what it is, a free hit or two on something in the front row as you're doing that. Okay, elves are a lot more dangerous than you would think. Rangers of the Elven Realms, the Forest Elves, survey the frontiers against intruders. They have 100 hit points, they deal 40 damage, but here's the real thing. They're a frontline melee unit that sacrifices a tiny bit of damage compared to other melee units in exchange for going at the same time that the archers do. So they're going to go first every time before something like your warrior or a zombie, which means if there's a front line full of them, they're going to pulverize you. But he missed his attack. Oh, and we missed ours. Oh, darn. I was hoping that we might get out with no damage. But I see that's not going to be the case. That 65% chance to hit really is the ghost's weakness, but when they do hit, it's a game changer. And see, look there, we're already halfway to leveling up to a Spectre, which that'll make a big difference. Okay, now that that guy's out of the way, let's go back over here, and we are going to hire a Banshee. And feel free to suggest a name for this lovely lady. And then, yeah, you know, the worst thing that happens is if I want to try that dungeon, I can always just save first, and you will see me do that. If y'all have joined me on the channel before, you know that my philosophy is that I don't want to waste my time or yours by having to replay large sections of a game. So some people prefer not to save because it enhances the experience, I guess. You know, it makes you feel like you're actually taking a risk. You're actually risking something if you lose. But I ain't play that way. I'm going to save all the damn time, and I will load it if I don't get the result that I want in a fight, and you can guarantee you will see me do that. There we go. Miss Rod Sticker it is. And normally you give them like a bodyguard or something, but this is early game, so I'm actually not going to waste the money on her right now. I'm just going to send her out, and if she needs a bodyguard later, then she can have one. I really like the Banshee's voice lines, by the way. They are some of my favorite in the game because of the way it's that sepulchral, choral kind of, like she's saying 3 or 4 things at once and they're layered over top of one another. If you listen, you can hear her ghostly, like, cries like, "Where are you, my love?"
Yes,
Darkness will fall.
Yes, I miss you.
Pretty cool. And yeah, some people feel that there's no honor in save scumming, but I will never apologize. Especially in a TBS. I will absolutely load it every time. Alright, so here we go. Now, she can plant a rod anywhere within her 20 movement point radius. So we're going to come over here, and I'm going to stick it way in the back so that way if someone else wants to destroy it, they will have the hardest possible time. And it costs 150 gold pieces to drop a rod. I've always felt kind of like, at that turn of phrase. So this will give us 50 death mana, and we get 25, as you have seen, just for our capital, natively. So that means that now we'll be getting 75 per turn, which is great. I mean, that's a 150% increase, so... now, rod planting heroes are also the only ones who can break rods, so they can move up to...
Stop talking to me. I was not there.
See, I love her voice lines. But if you find a rod of another civ, you can also break those rods to stop them from transforming terrain or to cost them control of another resource. Like another rod planter, a proud dwarf from the mountain clans, for instance, would have to break this rod before they could plant their own next to it, because only one rod could be adjacent to a specific resource modifier or generator.
Darkness will fall.
Okay, I'm gonna chance
You
that,
will feel my power.
but first... Okay, good, we can get right between them. Love it, love it. Can you pick this up? A giant blood potion, excellent. Now he's gonna catch up with her pretty quickly, but I'm going to take her back before she gets too far away. Because she, like, if we decide to sacrifice her, that's fine, she was a freebie, but I don't want her to die with all of those items on her, because if you are defeated by a neutral monster, you just drop everything you're carrying in a sack on the ground. But if you are defeated by an enemy leader, they loot all of your stuff, and the only way to get it back is to kill them.
Yes.
Okay, let's... There we go. We'll give this a save. Let's try it.
Fresh blood at last.
The archer is really what we have to worry about. See, now he's going to deal 25 damage per shot, which actually is less than you would like, that I'm super worried about. I'm more interested in this guy, at least at first, because if he's going to shoot Count Choco, Count Choco's just going to heal. But this guy will go before our warriors, just like the last one, so I want to try and paralyze him and prevent another 44 damage. Excellent, that's the best possible result that could have happened. Which will rarely be the case, because this game is absolutely a game of attrition. There we go. Good, clean fight. Only took one hit. Not too bad. And that's going to put us at 52 experience, so we only need a little bit more for our ghost to level up. And turn after next, we will build our building for our warriors as well. So what should we make our warriors into? Shall they become zombies, which have more hit points and are immune to death? Or shall we make them into Templars, which have slightly less hit points and are not immune to death, but which have all four of those elemental rewards? We can do either one. Right? Like, on the surface of it, it sounds like a great plan. Now you notice like the AI will do all kinds of wild things with the pathfinding to try and avoid going over water or through trees as much as it can to save you movement points, and sometimes that means you'll go way out of, like, it looks like you're going way out of your way, and actually it's saving you movement somehow in a crazy fashion.
Who dares?
Okay, now we don't need those potions bad enough to cross the water for them just yet, but because we have taken some wounds, I am going to save it again before I go in here, and then we'll see what's in these ruins. Probably some elves, since it says Elven Lost Temple. Ooh, oh no. Okay, so this is an Elven Ranger, of course, the archer we just saw a moment ago. Ironically in the front, which is odd, but the reason why is because he's protecting an Elven princess. Heir of the Elven lands, the princess is called upon to protect her realm against invaders, and she is a beefy mage, because in addition to 140 hit points, she deals 40 earth damage to everyone. Not great. So we're gonna have to hope we paralyze her. She'll get one hit on us because she's gonna go before the ghost, but thankfully, he, being the most vulnerable one, didn't get hit. Okay, that's it. There we go. So he's gonna heal. Now the thing is, she's gonna spend her turn. There we go. We want to paralyze her again, though, because if we miss and she gets another hit, she will very probably kill both of our warriors because they have less than 40 hit points left. Ooh, see, and there we go, missing. Don't do that now. One more go. Awesome. Well done, Ghost. See, and this is how, because it is this squad-based RPG party combat, this is how... Excellent. Oh boy. Oh, okay, so here we go. This happened all at once because she's worth a lot of XP. But this is how I get attached to these characters, because like that Ghost won that fight for us. If he had missed a shot, she probably would have wiped us out and I would have had to load it. And his reward is that he has upgraded to a Spectre. Now you'll see his XP is at max because he cannot upgrade again in this scenario. He is limited to his level 2 evolution. But now he has a 70% chance to paralyze, so hey. And you'll also see, look here, Count Choco earned 41 experience points. Our warriors earned only 37. And you see this plus icon? That's what I was talking about, see? Now we have to build either the Unholy Ground or Evil Monastery in our capital to upgrade this unit, and then we will have to fight another battle. We got 250 gold, though. Ooh, and a Banner of Speed. Lovely. So now, in order to use banners, you have to have a skill called Banner Bearer. And that is because these banners are magical. This one increases the initiative of your whole party by 10%. Oh, man. I'm tempted to fight that battle again because I should have. I didn't think. Oh, man. I think I might, because I should have built that building first, and I didn't know what was going to be in there and didn't expect to level up. So, yeah, let me...
Yes.
Who dares?
Oh, wait. Oh, it was the 250 that we got out of there is why we had that much. Dummy. Okay, well that's fine, because then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and research summon Skeleton. And then I am actually going to go over here with his movement. See how it costs double to move across water or trees? I'm going to use the exchange button here to pick this stuff up from her so that he's got it. And then I'll move back. That way we'll get a little bit of regeneration over the turn as we wait. And then at the beginning of next turn, I will be able to not only send Ms. Darksoul back down here scouting, but also we can build a building. Oh, that was the sound of a thief being used. That little arrow and a target noise. But we'll be able to build the upgrade building for our warriors. And y'all decided you wanted zombies, right? So we're going to build the Unholy Ground. And there it is. So now we won't have that problem. They will upgrade to zombies. Okay, let's get back over here. We're still using her as a scout, so I have to be careful not to double-click on those red flags.
Who dares?
And she is going to come over here, and even though this town, once it is ours, will cause wasteland to spread out from it, meaning that we will be able to, you know, claim this gold mine eventually. I don't know when we're going to get to it. Maybe a couple turns, so I'm going to have her come over here. And as double insurance, she's going to slip down here and plant a rod over there to claim that gold mine. And multiple sources of terrain expansion stack, and they cause it to expand more quickly. So see, there's a town here, and there's a town here. If we put a rod in between them, that accomplishes two things. Well, three things. First being that we'll get the gold mine right away before we control the towns. Second being that it's not a waste, because if we control both of these towns, then when all of the wasteland joins up, the power of the rod will combine with the power of the cities to cause it to expand faster. And third, it means that if the mountain clans takes this city from us or something like that, they still will not automatically gain control of this gold mine without breaking our rod first. So it forces them to go to a two-step process. Rods can be used defensively that way to protect your resource generators. The AI doesn't do it a lot, but it's a good strategy for you as a player. Provided you can afford it, of course. Okay, let's hope this goes as well as last time. Missed the ghost, missed the ghost! Oh, even better. Of course, we'll probably pay for it with he'll miss a shot on her. Okay, warriors, come on and earn your keep. There's a big upgrade in this for you. Okay, that's game. We got it. And this way that experience won't be wasted, because the problem is experience is divided before it is spent. So that means that, like, for example, if she's worth 37 per person, then if they only need 1 experience point to level up, then they're not the only ones who are missing out on experience points, because they can't use all of it because they've hit maximum. Count Choco is also missing out on experience points as well, because, and yes, I did. I saved again. I always save before I go into a dungeon. But he's missing as well, because if they're at max experience, they won't get a share. So he's losing XP too. So this way, he's not missing as much. And now he only needs 7 to level up, which is great. Okay, most excellent. And you'll notice too, when a unit levels up, they regain full health. So that means that since he can drain life and heal himself, we now have no reason to go back to the capital, and instead we can press onward, which will save us some time. Because if we can avoid having to go back somewhere and rest, that's always best. Okay, everyone has moved. I think we can take this town now. Shouldn't be a big deal, because there is 1 melee guy and 2 archers, but now we've got more hit points back here in the back, so I'm gonna save it anyway, just in case, because you never know. I might get lucky, deal a bunch of damage, and kill Count Choco. And at this point, as much as I would hate to have to spend to revive a dead unit, they're at max experience, which means that if they die, they don't lose anything, it just costs us money to get them back. On the other hand, if he dies, he doesn't get any XP from that battle, and that means a lot more for him, because he's probably going to have a level limit of 3rd level for this first scenario, I'm guessing. Well, so we can research a spell this turn, but we can't really cast one other than Summon Skeleton, because if you are in a city, see the shield icon there? you cannot be targeted by direct target spells such as Weakness or Ice Storm. So we can cast Summon Skeleton and send someone in there, but we cannot hit them with Weakness before we attack, unfortunately. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and research Pestilence and get that out of the way, and then we'll get another one next time. And let's have her come over this way. We're going to claim this gold mine. Boom. More money.
Yes.
More money. Fewer problems, honestly. Anyone who says different is lying. And maybe also trying to tell you something. There we go.
Darkness from far.
Okay. Let's do it.
Fresh blood at last.
Unfortunately, because they specialize in debuffs and damage and stuff like that, the undead are not great at healing, which is a shame. So you do have to rest in towns and spend a lot of money to make sure that you have those options. Oof. Okay, I'm going to have to paralyze an archer here to make sure that Count Choco doesn't take more than one hit. Because, yeah, see, since he's got 70 initiative, but so do they, so it's anyone's game. It's going to be a random toss-up who goes first. So he'll heal a little bit. There we go. Take out this other archer. Okay, now we should be safe, hopefully. Good, good, good. Okay, if he had missed that and then the archer went first, Count Choco probably would have gone down. Oh, come on. Well, that's okay, because when this guy dies, he's going to level up and heal to full health, and now he has 100 hit points, and he does 15 damage, you see. Now we've taken the town, we'll move automatically into it. Our friends, the Mountain Clans, will avenge us. Our blard. Blood. There we go, and whenever you take a town like this, see, it automatically expands a handful of spaces outwards with your terrain type. Now, towns, you can see they're going to look different on the inside based on who controls them. You can see this is wasteland terrain, so there's that poisonous miasma because it's controlled by the Undead Hordes, and there's a moonlit sky overhead. You can also buy troops here. You can leave them to guard the city, or you can purchase them to put them in your party, and you can buy heroes here as well if there's not one in the garrison. Now notice you can only have one unit in the city. That's because the city level is first. We can actually grow a city, and you can see here the advantages are it increases the number of units that you can have at the garrison, so the city has kind of like a leadership score that can never be higher than 5. Your capital is the only city that can have 6 units, and that's because your capital guardian is always one of them, and then you can add 5 more of your choice. The hit point regeneration of the city will increase, and also the defense bonus to anyone in the city will increase. You do get a defense bonus for being garrisoned in a town if you are attacked. Basically, yes. So, this is 150 gold. I'm going to go ahead and spend that to raise it to level 2, because this way we will regenerate a little bit more health for our zombie over this turn when we rest, and that also leaves us with 200 gold, which means
You will feel my power.
when the turn rolls over, we should gain 200 gold, bringing us up to 400. There we go. And that will be enough to purchase our temple and leave us a little bit left over so that we can heal our zombie the rest of the way and move it along. So now, here we go. Count Choco has gained a level, and we have 4 new abilities to select for him. We can take Artifact Lore, Arcane Knowledge, Toughness, or Banner Bearer. Artifact Lore allows the leader to equip artifacts in those hand slots. Banner Bearer allows him to use banners. We already have one of those, so that is tempting, but we have to be careful what we pick in what order now, because some may be better than others. Banners always affect your entire party, but are usually a little bit less powerful than artifacts. Artifacts are stronger than banners overall, but tend to only affect the leader. So for example, you might find a sword that will increase your leader's damage by 30%. Or you might find a banner that will increase everyone's damage, but only by 10%. Toughness adds 20% more hit points to the leader, and that scales, so as he levels up and his HP increases, the bonus will go up as well. That would give him 20 more hit points right away, which is not bad. Arcane Knowledge allows him to use magical tomes. Tomes are like artifacts or banners. They can be equipped in a hand slot, and they give a bonus usually to the whole party, but it's more of a utility bonus. Yeah, I think so too. We haven't found an artifact and we have found a banner, so I'm thinking this one. We also haven't found any tomes, so I mean, like, what would be the point, right? Tomes are great when you have them because they will give you things like, they'll let you move across water or through forest with no movement penalty, or they might give the entire party Fire Ward, for example. But you only have 2 equipment slots, so you have to decide what you're going to spend them on, and frankly, because the undead can't heal very well except for vampires, Banner Bearer is pretty solid. So let's go ahead and take Banner Bearer if nobody else has any objections. Going once, going twice, and then we'll equip that Banner of Speed, which will be great. Okay, Banner Bearer it is. Let's have Ms. Dark Soul go down here and see what she can see. Ah, a merchant. Excellent. Tralar the Alchemist. I am sure that my potions will be of great help to you. Oh, Kaldric the Sage. So there we go. There's our first Mountain Clan's enemy hero.
Darkness will fall.
Well, first things first. Let's go ahead and equip this banner. So there we go. And you can see he's got the Banner Bearer icon there now. And see, initiative is plus 10%, so it's going to scale. So remember how he was tied with all of those elves because their initiative was 70 as well? Well, now if we fight more elves, he will absolutely go first every time because his initiative is now 77, and theirs will still be 70. Likewise, our zombies are likely to go before other standard frontline enemy fighters because they have 5 more initiative. And our Spectre, he's only going to get plus 2 because his initiative is 20, but that still means that he should go before other support units. So like, for example, you know, if there was another unit that had an initiative of 20, maybe even an enemy Spectre, ours might go first. Okay, now speaking of going, let's go ahead and we'll buy our temple. And we need to research a spell. Let's do Ice Storm. That just leaves Rust to get out of the way for the first level spells, and then we can start saving up for the second level spells. Okay, now I have to admit, I'm a little worried about Ms. Dark Soul because Kaldric is close enough to go up there and get her. And since she doesn't have anything with her, he very well might, because of course the AI shouldn't be able to see what's in our party any more than we can see what's in theirs without a thief. But the computer still knows, and it can still do risk evaluation based on what it knows. So I'm going to save it. He might not be brave enough, but he may attack us. We'll see. Well, got some more elves over there. We've got a ruin. We have this bear. Now, the bear has a lot of hit points and hits very hard. Since we can go around him, I'm not going to fool with him right now. And I want to stay kind of close to this town in case Kaldric comes that way. Ooh, and there is another Mountain Clan's hero. Okay. They're all over the place. There's another one. Well, it's a good thing y'all picked a scouting leader because we're going to need those movement points. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay up here and focus on this area.
Fresh blood at last.
We'll let the Mountain Clans come to us for now, because it's usually best to, oh, I forgot to heal him. It's usually best to let them come to you if you've got some, you know, place like a city or whatever that you can hang out and get a defensive bonus. Why would you not? Oof. Oh, he's gonna get another shot in. Dang. As long as we're not dead, that's all that really matters. See, and now you can see he's going to get all of the experience instead of it being divided 4 ways, which means that he will achieve his next level proportionally faster than he did his first one, because these guys, they're not going to level up again. On the other hand, he needs 575, and we will grind that out, because since he's coming with us to the next scenario, he will be level 3 before we leave, and there's a couple of good reasons why. Not least of all just because we want the most XP that we can squeeze out of every scenario. Okay, let's see what's in here, perhaps. I might go back and heal, since he's taking damage too. Now, I don't want to lose her just because I don't want to have to pay to replace her. So I'm going to move her up this way. We're going to go around the bear. And I'm going to get her a fighter.
Yes.
That'll help protect her just a little bit. Man, they're really using those thieves. He must be a guild master. Oh, and his thief died, so... Oh, okay, there we go. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. We might actually win this fight with just her, because he's got 1 hit point. He must have just raised him from the dead. If she kills that warrior... Yep. Okay, so the mountain clans play a lot differently from the Undead Hordes. So here's their dwarf, right? They deal 30 damage, the same as most frontline fighters, but they have 150 hit points. They are much tougher than average. The Lore Master, this is their mage hero, so this is their version of the Lich Queen. He deals earth damage just like we deal fire damage, but he's got a little bit more health. See, she's got 65, he's got 95, so they have beefy mages. Their mage unit is this, the Tenderfoot. Fragile and peaceful in nature, the Tenderfoot brews potions to increase the damage of an ally unit in battle. So they don't have a lot of health and they can't deal damage themselves, but they go very early in the initiative order, and what they do is they boost an ally's damage by 25%, and that only gets to be a better boost as they level up and evolve themselves. So that means that, see, Kaldric here is going to deal 37 damage instead of 30. Which means if he hits... On the other hand, if we hit... I totally did not expect that, because she had no one with her. Oh my gosh. Well done, Ms. Darksoul.
Done.
Now, this other guy may come over and destroy us, because now he's seen our party and he knows we've got Jack and shit. Of course, she does get her damage bonus right away. Oh, is he not going for it? Wild. Yeah, that is insanely lucky. You know what? She deserves an upgrade. I'm going to give her toughness. Because since she's not our main leader, we don't want to pile artifacts and banners on her that Count Choco can use, but everybody can use 20% more hit points. So, there we go. That'll give her 90 HP, and she's going to deal 35 damage now. Excellent. Excellent. And this other guy, has got to come through like these peasants and things if he's going to get us, so... No, I want to go this way. There we go. See, the pathfinding has a bad habit of sending you through enemies because it's the fastest way to go. Because everything costs so much movement. Oh, shoot. Oh, dang, that's not what I meant to do. Oh, no. Oh, no. I was going to say everything takes so much movement that it's usually faster to fight a battle. Just like then. So, yeah, I didn't think it would take us through the damn bear. So, the bears have been domesticated by the mountaineers to guard the mountain clan's northern frontiers. They have 230 hit points. More importantly, they go on initiative 60 and deal 45 damage. So, we can take this bear out as long as it only gets one shot and doesn't kill our zombie here. Because it's going to go... Probably, yeah, here we go. But if our Spectre paralyzes it, we'll be okay because it's the only unit in here. Oh. Oh, I hate that. Okay, but... Oh, yep, there goes our zombie. Okay. Oh, man, and now he missed. Now, come on. Paralyze him. There we go. There we go. He's not as immune to death as he thought, as we were led to believe. We got him now, though. It'll just cost a little bit of money to bring the zombie back. And hey, this just means that Count Choco is healing himself, so we don't have to spend as much money healing him. Ooh, and a nice 29 experience from that one monster because he didn't have to share it. God. And we got a potion of protection, 15% armor for 1 day, for 1 unit. Oh, phew. Okay. So now it doesn't cost any movement to move into or out of a town. So I'm going to step him outside. She's going to go in here. We're going to get her a bodyguard. Just to make her a little harder to kill. The time is now. And
Darkness will fall.
Jump back in here. And here we go. See, now they have these buttons because we built the temple, so we can revive. It costs 100 gold pieces to revive a dead unit per level of the unit. And also, it costs 1 gold piece per hit point, you see, to heal a unit. And that increases with their level. So that means that it's doubled if they're level 2. So a zombie is more expensive both to revive and to heal than a warrior would be. So, worth the 200. There we go. And then we'll just leave them there overnight so that they can heal before I pay for more healing. She doesn't really have anything else to do at the moment. I'm gonna leave her kind of here-ish. I want to stay mobile. And you know what? I think that Ms. Dark Soul has earned an army. We sent her out there with nothing, and she just completely roasted an enemy mage and leveled up. So you know what? She's earned it. So that's how we will start episode 2 when we come back. We've got plenty of towns, plenty of targets. We've got ruins, and of course we have a bit of a border dispute coming up with the mountain clans as their snow starts to butt up against our wasteland, and we've got to get that life mana, we've got to get their gold. We need everything that they have, if only so that they can't have it. Because screw those guys, am I right?
Darkness will fall.
Good enough. So yeah, I hope that you all enjoyed this stream, and if you did and you're not already following, then please follow or subscribe, and you'll be able to check this video out on my new Disciples Sacred Lands playlist over on the YouTube channel as well, where you can also find all of the other games that I've played on the channel, both solo and with my wonderful husband, Specific Pixel. So I hope that you will come back next Thursday for more Disciples Sacred Lands as we continue our battle against the mountain clans in search of Mortis's revenge. That will be Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is New York and Miami time here in the US. And don't forget to join me for other streams on Saturdays and Mondays for different series as well. I'll see you then for all of those, and thanks for joining me. Until next time, as always, thanks for playing.